Microsoft Office 365 is a subscription cloud-based service. It's based on a software as a service model. It installs updates to applications automatically. It enables administrators to control these updates. It allows for selection of where user data should be stored, that is in the cloud or on-premise servers. The Office 365 Admin Center enables you to perform all management aspects of Office 365 subscriptions. You can access the Office 365 Admin Center at the URL on the page shown here. I'll run through a short demonstration at the end of this session on how to use it to perform typical administrative tasks. Your users can install Microsoft Office from the portal. You can configure several settings that control this ability from the Office 365 Admin Center. On the user software page under Service Settings, you can select the apps that you want to allow your users to install. Users can also use a self-service method for installing Office. To install Office in this way, use the following procedure. Open a web browser and navigate to login.microsoftonline.com and sign in. From the Office 365 Admin Center My Account page, click Install Software. Click Run to start the installation and then proceed through the wizard to install Office. When you're prompted, click All Done. You can also manage software using the Office 365 portal. The Admin Center contains configuration and management pages for all the different features that affect Office app installation, including the Home tab, the Users tab, Groups tab, the Resources tab, the Domains tab, Settings, and the Admin Centers tab. We'll take a look at all of these in the demonstration. You can configure a click-to-run installation of Office that enables a streamlined installation process, which gives almost instant access to Office desktop applications rather than using the traditional installation method, which requires the user to wait for the entire installation process to complete before they can start using Office. You can also use Windows PowerShell to manage Office 365. You'll need to be familiar with the common Office 365 management commandlets, and you can find out more about those online. Okay, so let's take a look at how to navigate the Office 365 Admin Center. So this is the home page. I've opened a web browser, in this case Microsoft Edge, and navigated to portal.office.com, and I signed in using my administrative account, my global admin. You can customize this home screen. By default you can see there are links for active user management, billing, links for installing and managing Office, for customizing domain names and so on. So you can add or remove components or tiles to the home screen. If we click on the user node here, we can take a look at the active users. And to manage a user account, it's simply a question of clicking the user. A new blade opens up and we can modify the user's properties. You can see that this user is a member of the marketing users group and has a product license of Intune. And we can have a look at some supplemental settings down here. To add a new user, it's fairly straightforward. Click the Add a User link. Type in a name. And then a username for signing in purposes. You'll notice the domain name is the domain name, the standard default domain name, in this case pearson697698.onmicrosoft.com, but you can assign your own custom domain if you own a particular domain name, and you do that through the domain node, and then that could appear here. Specify a location for the user, and then we can configure a password, either auto-generate and notify the user of that password. You normally do that by emailing the link to the administrator, and the administrator will then communicate that verbally to the user. You can specify that the user must change their password when they first log on. These are all standard sorts of user management things. If you want to assign a management role, you can click on the roles link here and assign them as a global administrator or a user, which is the default, or some custom level of access. If you want to assign licenses, click on product licenses. And then based on the subscriptions that you've got, I've got 2 trial subscriptions, one for Office 365 and one for Intune. I can enable the appropriate licenses. So for this user, I want to enable Office 365. Within Office 365 Enterprise E5, there are a whole host of different options, some of which I can selectively disable if I want to. And then I may want to enable Intune or any other subscription that I might have. And then when I'm ready, click Add. Because I asked it to auto-generate a password, it displays the password here for me. I can now email that to the global admin for the domain, and they can then notify the user what the password is verbally, which is obviously more secure than emailing it to the user. So I'll send the email and close, and now my user account is set up. Under the Groups node, you can view existing groups, and you can add additional groups quite easily. A new blade opens. Because I've got an Office 365 subscription, I can choose between security groups, which allow me to configure permissions, abilities that users can perform if they're a member of a group. I can mail enable a security group so that not only can members do things that I assign to the group, but they can also, that group can be used as a distribution list for email purposes, or a distribution list only, which means I can use it to send email to collections of users, but I cannot assign permissions to that particular group. So you can choose. Depending on your subscription will determine precisely what you see here. And then I can, what I'll do here is I'll choose a mail-enabled security group, and I'll call it Sales. Because it's a mail-enabled, I need to give it an email address, so it defaults to the name of the group with the domain name suffix there, and then specify whether or not email can be sent to that group from outside my organization. That's on by default, and then I click Add. If I want to add users to the group, I can click on the group itself. This is a previously created group, but nevertheless the principle is the same. And then I can go to the members list here and click Edit, and I can add users by clicking and getting a list of users up. I won't do that now, just to show you the process. Okay, it will take a bit of time before my previously created group shows here. If I scroll down here, have a look at the billing node. Any subscriptions that I have, any licenses that I have, can be viewed through the subnodes here: subscriptions, bills, licensing. So as a global admin, that's something I might want to be concerned with to make sure that billing's working as it should do. I can also customize billing notifications, so who receives the notifications for billing and when. And down the bottom, under admin centers, if I expand that, I have a number of links that open up in a separate tab for different elements of the subscription that I'm managing. Because I've got an Office 365 E5 subscription, I've got a link for Exchange Management, Yammer, Power Apps, Azure Active Directory, and also because I have an Intune subscription, that appears here. So if I click on one of those, a new tab opens and takes me to that particular portal for that particular subscription. Okay, so up here, if I want to control how software can be deployed, under Settings, under Services and Add-ins, if I scroll down here, I've got the Office Software Download Settings link, which allows me to control versions and which Office apps are available for download for my subscribed users. So at the moment, 2016 desktop and mobile apps versions is on. Office will include Skype for Business, SharePoint Designer, and Skype for Business Standalone. So I can enable or disable those various options. How often do you want users to get feature updates? Every month or every 6 months? And then the Office version 2016 is turned on by default, but I may want to configure different versions here if available. As you can see, I've also got an option for manually deploying software to the users. Also under Settings, we have the Security and Privacy node, and here I can configure for my online users my password policy. Set the password policy for all users in the organization, and I can specify expiration and notification for expiration. I can configure privacy profile, so set the privacy statement, and let's have a look at that. Enter the statement URL, so that tells the users what the acceptable use policy is. And another link here for further information, including a valid email address for contacting the organisation about more details about the privacy policy. We can also enable user-initiated reset of user passwords. As you see down here, we can turn that on by switching to the Azure AD Admin Center, but we'll cover that later. So that's an overview of the Office 365 Admin Center, and I've shown you how to perform some of the fairly common day-to-day management tasks. So in the demonstration, you saw how to navigate the Office 365 Admin Center.